Hey there, tech fans, and welcome to this deep dive. We're diving into the latest hardware happenings.
Definitely exciting times.
Right, it really is. And we're going to be focusing on CPUs and GPUs today.
Yeah.
AMD, Intel, NVIDIA, they're all vying for our attention.
Mm.
So get ready for some serious benchmark busting power,
Oh, yeah.
some intriguing design leaks, and even a sneak peek at what might be coming at CES 2025.
Yeah, it's a really dynamic time right now in the tech world with, all these companies really pushing the boundaries.
It feels like every week there's some new breakthrough or rumor or something to get excited about.
Absolutely.
Speaking of exciting, let's unpack AMD's Zen 5 architecture.
Okay.
They've been teasing this for a while now, but now, thanks to some high-res die shots of the Ryzen 5 9600X chip, we're getting our first real look under the hood.
Yeah, those die shots are like, detailed blueprints of the CPU's layout. So it's really exciting for tech enthusiasts because it gives us clues about, how the chip is designed, what kind of performance we might see.
So it's like we found a treasure map.
Exactly.
And now we're trying to decipher the clues.
Exactly. And these Zen 5 shots, they came from Fritz, a well-known figure in hardware analysis, so that just adds to the intrigue.
Oh, for sure. So what are some of the most interesting things you're seeing on this Zen 5 Mac then?
Well, one of the things that really jumps out is the change in PSVs through Silicon VS.
Okay.
And you can imagine these like tiny elevators that move data vertically within the chip.
Okay.
And they are crucial for AMD's 3D V-cache technology, which is essentially stacking more super fast memory directly onto the processor.
Right, so more cache usually means faster performance.
Exactly. Faster performance, especially for gaming.
Yeah.
And in these die shots, we're seeing that Zen 5 has significantly fewer TSVs than in previous generations, and they're positioned closer to the L3 cache.
Interesting. So what does that tell us?
Well, this is sparking some speculation that AMD might be gearing up for a two-layer 3D V-cache design,
Whoa.
potentially for their higher-end CPUs, like
Right.
maybe a Ryzen 7 9800X 3D or something like that.
Okay, so a two-layer cache for someone who's not, super deep into the technical weeds here. What could that mean for everyday use?
Basically, imagine being able to load and access information on your computer at lightning speed.
Okay.
More cache means the CPU can hold more of that frequently used data close at hand, so it doesn't have to go searching through slower main memory.
Got it.
So that means serious performance gains, particularly in applications that demand a lot of processing power.
So like video editing?
Yeah, video editing, high-end gaming.
Okay.
You could be looking at smoother gameplay, faster rendering times, and overall snappier computing experience.
So potentially a huge win for gamers and creative professionals
Absolutely.
who need that extra edge.
Huge win.
But as with most things in tech, there are always trade-offs, right?
Absolutely. Two-layer designs present some engineering challenges,
Okay.
mainly around complexity and heat.
Makes sense.
That's probably why, if this technology is real, why it would likely be reserved for those high-end models. Your standard Ryzen 5 or 7 might not get this treatment.
Yeah, it makes sense that they'd save the really cutting-edge stuff for their flagship products.
Right.
Speaking of pushing the limits of performance, Intel's making waves with some pretty impressive single-core speed.
Oh, absolutely. Their new Core Ultra 9 285K is just crushing benchmarks.
Crushing them.
Crushing it. We're talking a pass mark score of 5268,
Okay.
which for context is the fastest single-core score we've ever seen.
Wow.
It even surpasses Intel's previous champion, the Core i9 14900K, by a significant margin.
That is a bold statement. It sounds like Intel is back in the game and not pulling any punches,
Yeah,
but I have a feeling there's more to the story here.
of course.
There's got to be a but coming here.
You're right to be skeptical. While the 285K dominates in single-core performance, it seems to lag behind in multi-core scenarios,
Interesting.
even falling behind AMD's Ryzen 9950X in some tests.
Okay, so it's a single-core champ, but maybe not as strong when all cores are firing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
For those of us who need a little CPU crash course here, what is the significance of this single-core versus multi-core distinction?
Okay, so think of it this way. A CPU's core is like an individual worker in a factory.
Fair.
Single-core performance is all about how much work a single worker can do on their own.
Got it.
Multi-core performance, on the other hand, is about how efficiently those workers can collaborate on bigger, more complex tasks.
Okay.
So a CPU with incredible single-core performance might excel at tasks that don't require a lot of parallel processing, like, say, running a single demanding application.
Okay.
But it might not be as efficient at tasks that can be split up and worked on simultaneously, like video editing or 3D rendering, where having more workers or cores can make a big difference.
So, in essence, it's about choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
Some tasks benefit more from a single super fast worker, while others require a team effort.
Precisely.
What might be causing this multi-core discrepancy with Intel's new chip?
One contributing factor could be the lack of hyperthreading in Intel's new Arrow Lake architecture,
Oh,
which the 285K is based on. And hyperthreading is essentially a way to get more work out of each physical core by allowing it to handle two tasks simultaneously.
so it's like giving each worker the ability to multitask.
Exactly. Without it, even though the 285K has a respectable 24 physical cores, it doesn't have the same multi-core horsepower as a CPU with hyperthreading or a higher core count.
Interesting trade-off there. Raw single core power versus the ability to juggle a lot of tasks concurrently. For our listeners who love to geek out on specs, what else can you tell us about the 285K?
Well, as we mentioned, it boasts 24 cores but no hyperthreading. It has a base clock speed of 3.7 gigahertz on its performance cores, which can boost up to a blazing 5.7 gigahertz.
Yeah.
Plus, it has a generous 76 cores of combined L3 and L2 cache. All this power does come at a cost, though. We're looking at a base power draw of 125 watts, which can go up to 250 watts under heavy load, so you'll need a robust cooling solution to keep this beast from overheating.
They really cranked up the clock speeds on this one.
They did.
But it sounds like it delivers some serious power in return.
Oh, for sure.
Now let's shift gears from CPUs to GPUs.
Okay.
What's NVIDIA cooking up in their labs? The rumor mill's been buzzing about their next-gen RTX 50 series, and if the leaks are true, the RTX 5080 could be a real game changer.
Literally a game changer.
Literally, yeah.
The rumors are certainly intriguing. From what we're hearing, it seems like NVIDIA might be pulling out all the stops with the 5080, particularly when it comes to memory.
Okay, I'm listening.
We're hearing whispers of 16G Kai-I, of cutting-edge 32 GBPs, GDDR7 memory.
Hold on, 16 gigabytes of GDDR7.
That's what we're hearing.
Wow, okay.
To put that into perspective, that's a potential bandwidth of a terabyte per second.
A terabyte.
A terabyte.
That's mind-blowing. Just how much faster is that compared to, say, the current RTX 4080? And for someone who might not be as familiar with these technical terms, what does that kind of bandwidth actually mean in terms of real-world performance?
So the 4080 offers 736 GBps of bandwidth.
Okay.
So with the 5080, we're potentially looking at an increase of over 35%.
What?
To put it simply, imagine a highway bandwidth is like the width of that highway.
Yeah.
The wider the highway, the more cars, or in this case data, can travel on it simultaneously without causing a traffic jam.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
With this kind of bandwidth increase, we're talking about smoother gameplay, faster rendering times for videos and 3D graphics, an overall boost in performance across the board, particularly for demanding tasks like gaming at higher resolutions, virtual reality complex simulations. We're also hearing rumors of a potential 24 GB VRAM version of the 5080,
24 gigs.
which would be an absolute beast for professionals working with massive data sets.
Like, who are we talking about here?
Video editors,
Okay.
3D artists,
Yeah.
AI researchers, anyone who needs to move around huge amounts of data quickly.
Okay, so if those rumors pan out, NVIDIA's really upping the ante in the graphics card arena.
Big time.
What's got me really excited, though, is that Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's CEO, is back at CES for a keynote in January 2025.
Oh, yeah.
And, knowing his flair for the dramatic, he wouldn't return without a bang.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's known for his showmanship, and this is his first CES keynote since 2019 when he announced the RTX 20 series.
Wow, has it really been that long?
It has.
Wow.
The timing lines up perfectly with these RTX 50 series rumors,
Yeah.
so anticipation is running high.
Mm.
People are expecting big things from NVIDIA this time around.
Exactly. It's been a while since we've seen Huang himself unveil a new generation of consumer GPUs, so the hype is very real. Now let's take a quick detour from the world of PC hardware and check in on Apple.
Okay.
Always a fascinating company to watch. They've been making waves with their custom silicon, and it seems like the innovations aren't stopping anytime soon. Some interesting benchmarks for their upcoming M4 Max have surfaced recently.
Yes.
And they're hinting at some pretty impressive performance gains.
It seems Apple is continuing to squeeze impressive performance out of their custom silicon.
So what kind of devices are we talking about here, and what are these benchmarks telling us?
The benchmarks we've seen are for a device codenamed Mac16 which many believe to be a new 14-inch MacBook Pro. What's really caught people's attention is that this M4 MacBook Pro supposedly achieved a single-core score of 300/864 and a multi-core score of 15,288 in Geekbench.
Okay, can you remind us what Geekbench is again? What do those scores actually tell us?
Sure, Geekbench is a popular benchmarking tool that tests the raw performance of a CPU.
Got it.
It runs a series of tests that simulate real-world tasks like image processing, encryption, and physics simulations. And the scores basically give you a way to compare the processing power of different devices.
Okay.
And in this case, the M4 MacBook Pro's scores are especially impressive because they're slightly higher than even the M4 iPad Pro,
Really?
which is already incredibly fast.
That is impressive considering the M4 iPad Pro is already incredibly fast.
Right, and while the difference isn't massive, it's important to remember that the iPad Pro relies on passive cooling, while the MacBook Pro has a fan. That active cooling system could be giving the M4 Mac an edge in sustained performance, meaning it can maintain those higher speeds for longer periods without overheating.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like the difference between a sprinter and a marathon runner. The sprinter might be faster in short bursts, but the marathon runner is built for endurance.
Exactly.
And in the world of laptops, especially for demanding tasks like video editing or software development, that sustained performance is critical.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about how fast a device can go for a few seconds. It's about how consistently it can perform under pressure.
Right.
And speaking of pushing the limits, if the standard M4 is already this impressive, I can only imagine what Apple has in store for the rumored M4 Pro and M4 Max chips.
Right.
Those are expected to power the higher-end MacBook Pro and Mac Studio models, and if the rumors are true, we could be looking at some seriously impressive workstation-level performance from Apple in the near future. Imagine editing 8K video or running complex simulations with the kind of speed and fluidity that was once unimaginable on a portable device.
I know, it's really exciting to think about.
It is mind-blowing to think about, and a little bit intimidating, too, for those of us who are still rocking older machines. But in all seriousness, it's an incredibly exciting time to be following the world of tech with all these incredible advancements happening at such a rapid pace. Now, before we get too carried away with daydreams of superpowered Macs, let's circle back to NVIDIA for a moment. They've been relatively quiet about their plans for the RTX 50 series, but where there's smoke, there's usually fire, right?
Absolutely. And the rumor mill has been churning out some pretty convincing smoke signals lately, particularly when it comes to the RTX 5080. If even half of what we're hearing is true, we could be on the verge of a paradigm shift in graphics performance.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my curiosity. Walk us through some of these rumors. What's got everyone so fired up about the RTX 5080?
Well, for starters, there's the memory. We're hearing whispers of NVIDIA equipping the 5080 with a whopping 16 GB of cutting-edge 32 GBP GDDR7 memory. Now, to put that into perspective for our listeners, the current top-of-the-line RTX 4090 boasts a still impressive 24 GB of GDDR6X memory running at a slower 21 GB piece.
Okay, so we're not just talking about more memory, but also a significant boost in memory speed. What does that mean for gamers and creators in practical terms?
In simple terms, it means handling larger and more complex tasks with ease.
Okay.
This kind of memory upgrade could be a game changer for things like 8K gaming,
Okay.
3D rendering, and working with massive datasets. Imagine playing the latest games with all the graphical bells and whistles turned up to the max with silky smooth frame rates and no lag, or rendering complex 3D scenes in a fraction of the time it takes now.
So we're potentially talking about a future where those incredibly detailed and immersive gaming experiences we've been promised for years finally become a reality.
Exactly. And it's not just about gaming either. This kind of performance boost has implications for all sorts of industries and applications. Think about architectural visualization, product design, medical imaging, any field that relies on processing massive amounts of visual data. The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing when you really start to think about it.
It really is remarkable how far graphics technology has come. But with all this talk about faster memory and increased bandwidth, I have to ask, are there any potential downsides or challenges that come with this kind of technological leap?
That's a great question, and the answer is, of course, there are always challenges.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones with these high-end GPUs is power consumption and heat. These are power-hungry beasts, and as they get faster and more capable, they also generate more heat.
So it's a bit of a balancing act for NVIDIA. They're pushing the boundaries of performance, but they also have to make sure these cards are manageable for everyday users, both in terms of power requirements and heat dissipation.
Exactly.
Ugh.
We're already seeing some pretty beefy cooling solutions on current generation graphics cards.
Yeah.
And it's safe to assume that trend will continue with the RTX 50 series.
Okay.
Don't be surprised if some of these cards require 3 or even 4 slot coolers and draw significant power.
Wow, so you might need to upgrade your power supply along with your graphics card.
Oh yeah. You might want to start saving up now.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how NVIDIA tackles these challenges while still delivering on the performance front.
Absolutely. It's a delicate dance, but if anyone can pull it off, it's NVIDIA.
For sure.
They have a track record of pushing the envelope while still delivering products that consumers love.
Well, I know. I'm excited to see what they have up their sleeves. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, let's take a step back and consider the broader implications of all these hardware advancements. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the intricacies of CPU design to the potential of next-generation GPUs. What's the overarching takeaway for you? What has you most excited about the future of computing?
You know what fascinates me most is how these advancements are blurring the lines between what we once considered distinct categories of devices.
Okay, how so?
With each new generation of chips, we're seeing laptops that rival the power of desktops,
Right.
tablets that can handle professional-grade workflows,
Yeah.
and mobile devices that are becoming increasingly capable.
Yeah.
It's really quite amazing.
It's true. We're moving away from this idea of a one-size-fits-all computing experience and towards a world where you can have incredible power and flexibility in a form factor that suits your individual needs.
Exactly. And with the rise of cloud computing and the increasing availability of high-speed internet, the possibilities are practically limitless.
Yeah.
Imagine a future where you can access the full power of a high-end workstation from a thin and light Ultrabook,
Okay.
streaming demanding applications and games with ease. Or think about the potential for virtual and augmented reality experiences that are truly immersive and indistinguishable from the real world.
It's incredible to think about. It really is. We're
Yeah.
entering an era where the traditional limitations of computing power are being redefined, opening up a world of possibilities for innovation across every industry and aspect of our lives.
I know, it's very exciting.
And the most exciting part is we're only just getting started.
Precisely. We're standing at the cusp of a new technological revolution, and I, for one, can't wait to see what the future holds.
I couldn't agree more. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive into the world of CPUs, GPUs, and the future of computing. But before we go, we want to leave you with something to ponder. With all these incredible technological advancements on the horizon, what are you most excited about? How do you envision these advancements shaping the future of how we live, work, and play? Head over to our website to share your thoughts, and as always, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
So it's a bit of a balancing act for NVIDIA.
It is.
They're pushing the boundaries of performance,
Right.
but they also have to make sure these cards are manageable for everyday users,
Right.
both in terms of power requirements and heat dissipation.
Absolutely. We're already seeing some pretty beefy cooling solutions on current generation graphics cards.
And it's safe to assume that trend will continue with the RTX 50 series. Don't be surprised if some of these cards require 3 or even 4 slot coolers
Wow.
and draw significant power.
So you might need to upgrade your power supply along with your graphics card.
You might want to start thinking about that now.
Yeah, seriously. It'll be interesting to see how NVIDIA tackles these challenges while still delivering on the performance front.
It'll be interesting. It's a delicate dance, but if anyone can pull it off, it's probably NVIDIA. They have a long track record of pushing the envelope while still delivering products that consumers love.
Yeah, for sure. Well, before we wrap up this deep dive, let's take a step back and consider the broader implications of all these hardware advancements. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the intricacies of CPU design to the potential of next-generation GPUs. What's the overarching takeaway for you? What has you most excited about the future of computing?
You know, it's funny because what fascinates me most is how these advancements are blurring the lines between what we once considered distinct categories of devices.
Okay, how so?
Well, with each new generation of chips, we're seeing laptops that rival the power of desktops,
Okay.
tablets that can handle professional-grade workflows,
Right.
and mobile devices that are becoming increasingly capable. It's really quite amazing.
It's true. We're moving away from this idea of a one-size-fits-all computing experience and towards a world where you can have incredible power and flexibility in a form factor that suits your individual needs.
Exactly. And with the rise of cloud computing and the increasing availability of high-speed internet, the possibilities are practically limitless.
Yeah.
Imagine a future where you can access the full power of a high-end workstation from a thin and light Ultrabook streaming demanding applications and games with ease, Or think about the potential for virtual and augmented reality experiences that are truly immersive, indistinguishable from the real world.
It really feels like we're on the brink of a new era of computing.
I think so.
It's an exciting time to be following all of this.
It is.
Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive into the world of CPUs, GPUs, and the future of computing. But before we go, we want to leave you with something to ponder. With all these incredible technological advancements on the horizon, what are you most excited about? How do you envision these advancements shaping the future of how we live, work, and play? Head over to our website to share your thoughts, and as always, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.